Hello and welcome to Word 2016, episode 1. This is going to be part of a playlist, okay? So what I'm going to do is it's going to be sort of a story, it's going to be tutorial, it's going to be mainly tutorial. I'm just going to put the story in just so I've got things to do in the tutorial. And if you watch the playlist, we'll be like Word 1, 2, 3, then maybe PowerPoint 1, 2, 3 or something, and that will all be consecutive. So you need to try to watch the playlist, otherwise you may watch PowerPoint 2 and it may have stuff which is I've talked about in the Word episode. That's all I want to say on that. And let's talk one more thing then. Okay, so this is the screen you might get, okay, when you open up Word, right? So you can see there's lots of stuff here. I've actually got these rulers here. So how might I want to toggle the rulers? Well, what we can do is if I press Alt, you can see little letters appear on the screen. And I know that rulers is in view. And then and you can see ruler there under the R. I press R and they've gone. So yeah, so again, Alt, go into the view menu and press R. So this is actually used all the different Office software. So that's pretty fun. Now, what else is there to talk about? Well, if we go, we can press, see if we wanted to go back to home, I could press Alt and H. So I wanted to go into the text, which I actually do, press FF, and you can see we're going to go into, type in an A there, and it's going to give us Arial. And then what I'm going to do as well is, you can see we've got Control, Shift, and greater than. So that's less than, so we're going to go much bigger, say size 20, and we're going to say this is a sans serif font. Alright, so it's a kind of standard font for letter writing, which is what I'm going to do in this video. So if we can also, obviously we can click here to change the font, and also do Control Shift and P. If we do that, we get even more font options. So you can do, like, you get these new menus like text fill. So these are fancy, these things. Text effects. And you can actually, these can come up from the side as well, so it's pretty cool. You can just change it the same way. And yeah, and there's actually an advanced tab as well, spacing as well, which is nice. Times New Roman. So this is an example of a serif font, okay, which is more complex. And if you want to see the font size, you see when I select both of them like that, what actually happens is it grays out the font box. You can see it says Control Shift F, Control Shift P. Yeah, they both actually. Yeah, oh, actually that's how you get to the font box. No, I didn't even know that one. Control Shift F. Yeah, Control Shift F and Control Shift P take you to the same box. Right. That's why I wasn't sure why I had that, but oh well. So that's cool. Let's get rid of that. Now, what was the next thing to talk about? Well, one thing we may want to do is when we create anything, we always look at the layout. The layout is quite important. So for instance, we've got the orientation. So we're going to letter is portrait. Size, most of the time you just want A4, right? Margins. Well, margins, we may want to have some custom margins. So, and you can see you can actually change that stuff anyway. So let's do margins of 2 centimeters just for this. And okay. So you can see, you may have seen there, I didn't actually point out at the time, but the ruler's actually changed there. And if you go into the file, if you go into print, you can also see on this, where is it? There we are, last custom margin settings. So I've actually changed the margins and it's showing me this stuff in, if you were going to print it out. So that's pretty cool. Now, one other thing that I want to show, let me see if I can just bring this up. Okay, so the next thing I want to do is I want to actually insert an image, okay? So yeah, I'm just thinking if there's anything else that I haven't like mentioned yet. We'll get to it. In the clipboard is where my image is, and the image is of a fish. So this story, I play, you know, to take these terms pretty loosely, I play the role of Jimmy Kipper, obviously a herring. I'm aware of some of these discussions regarding, you know, saltwater and freshwater, and, you know, would a kipper be, you know, but it doesn't matter. I'm Jimmy Kipper, and I'm writing to Tony Salmon because Tony Salmon is playing leapfrog all the time late at night, and it's unacceptable. And I want to write a letter, explain my grievances regarding that. Okay, that's all there is to it. Okay, so we click on that, and you can see it's going to put that picture there on the top left hand side of the page. We don't need that anymore actually. Okay, so that's That's fine, but that's not really where I want it, right? I want to rotate it so it's pointing upwards like a stamp, and I want it in the top right hand corner. So how do you do that? Well, you can click it, and what you do is, you may think you have to go into format, but actually what you have to do is go into the layout tab, and you change the position. So basically this is to do with the text, right? Normally, I believe tight is the best thing for text, but we'll get onto that. So we want it there, and then once we click here, if we press Alt, if we hold down Alt, and now I'm going to press the arrow keys, and there we go. So there's different ways to rotate it. You may have noticed there's a rotate button here. There's also a rotate button here as well. Okay, so there's various ways to rotate things. You can also change the styles up here as well. I'm not going to do that though, because I want this to be a fairly simple picture. I also want this picture to be 2 centimeters in height. Okay, and if you do that, you can see what's happened is it stretched it, right? And that's not good. So what do you do about that? You click on this little arrow here, and you go to lock aspect ratio. So now, when I do 2 centimeters, it's done it right. But the problem is that it's actually put it in the wrong place. So there we go. It's back in the right place now. Now another thing I might want to do with this picture is I may want to. So you have to also be careful. There's one other thing in terms of the header and the footer. So although I'm typing on this page, right, if I go to edit here, right, you can see that because I'm below the header, sometimes you have to make sure that you select this different first page, because otherwise it might, if this picture was accidentally in the header, it would keep on thinking, well, this is what you want every page, but in fact you don't. Okay, so I mean you might, but not in this case anyway. So yeah, so that's good. Now if we want to get out of it, we have to actually get out of it like that. Now what else can we do with this picture? Well, if we go to format here in picture, we can actually remove the background, and we just do keep changes here, and the background is gone. It's still got a little bit of a background, but it's fine. Okay, so what we want to do is we want to write most of this piece in size 14 text. Okay, so we want it to be Arial because it's a letter, and we want it to be size 14. Okay, so we have to really pay attention to where the cursor is, right? Because it's easy. It's easy for the cursor to sort of. We didn't do Control R. That's going to set it to the right hand side. So left hand side is Control L. These are the settings, by the way. Here and here and here. That's justify, Control J, but it's basically LER, like, and then J for justify. The size is not what we want either. We want 14. And okay, so what I might do actually, you see, if I put this and I do the wrap text and I make it tight, I think I should be able to. You see, what will happen? Yeah, I think that's a little bit closer. We'll have to. I mean, I could compare it what it looks like before. All right. So the next thing we want to do is make sure we've got the spacing correct. So for a letter, we need to use this one, single line spacing. We'll look at tabs, by the way, in the next Word episode, because I've already this is all made up, by the way. I've just literally made all this up. Okay. So just in case you know, is this real? Okay. So another thing we may want to look at, right? So I'll show you one more problem with the picture. This is, I mean, I'm probably going a little bit overboard with terms of the picture thing, but I wanted to just get it just right. Okay, so this is the address, right? And if we look at the alignment of the picture, it still doesn't look quite right. So there's one more thing we can do just to get it to be completely perfect. And what is that? Well, if you look in here in the format in the align section, you see there's this one, use alignment guides. I've actually got them turned on. You haven't actually seen them yet though. Okay, so what does that mean? Well, if I move this picture around, you can see that we get this little green line, right? And then we do that, you can see it still doesn't really look in line with the thing, right? So what you have to do is you do Alt and then you drag it. And that looks a bit better, I think. Just trying to see. I think that's perfect now. So if we look at where the header is, just to get it, it's a little bit, yeah, I'm happy with that. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to move it just one down just so it's not completely touching the header. So I'm just going to press the down arrow there. And that's basically perfect. Yeah, you see there's about a line and a half spacing there. Okay, that's good. But remember, do you remember? If you see what happens with the text there, it's going to the wrong one. So we want to make sure at the end of this line we press Enter. Then we're going to press Control L. We're going to move to the other side, and then we're going to press Enter one more time. And now we're going to write. So we're writing this letter to Tony Salmon, right? Okay, Tony Salmon, and we got this. So this is something which I've already prepared. I'm just looking at it on my second monitor. And by the way, this is an interesting fact. This took me a long time. I've literally recorded this episode about 5 times. And the reason was because I couldn't find a way to record it. I used Fraps, it didn't work. What we're going to do, but I don't want to focus too much on this. But it's the first episode, so I want to, it'll be fine next episodes. But anyway, so what we want to do is that we just want to do Control Shift and a less than. Okay, so we're going to be on size 12. So we're going to write to Dear Mr. Salmon. But yeah, I used Fraps, right? And Fraps is very difficult if you're using multi-monitors, and I want to use multi-monitors, right? So it didn't work basically, and then I went through all the different software. I went through huge numbers of software, and then I realised eventually at the end, you just use PowerPoint to record, and everything's perfect. You just get an MP4 straight up. You don't even need to render it, and it's just, But it's still worth. It was still kind of worth going to. Well, it wasn't really. Sometimes when you take like 10 hours doing something, and then you figure out in the end, you think, was that really worth it? And then you sort of justify it to yourself. You say, well, you know what? Maybe it was worth it because look, I learned this. This one thing that I probably wouldn't have learned otherwise. But then you think, yeah, but was that worth like 10 hours? I don't know. Anyway, so this is there. I'm writing to you because I'm not happy about the amount of times you play Leapfrog late at night with the frogs. So we've spoken about this, right? But the problem only seems to be escalating, I would say, because and then we'll do this. Seems this is I'm not quite sure how I'm going to fit this in the context of the story, but we'll see. I did consider this particular sentence, but anyway, there's that one. So okay. Yeah. Display a reassurance, and I'm going to do some. Let's just do a couple of spelling mistakes as well. I want to try to keep this text sentence as well. Okay, you make less noise. On the is that on the contrary, you've actually been making more. Okay. And then this is another sort of bit of the story, I guess. So this is going to be like the sort of third character. So we kind of had it because obviously this is I've kind of written lake and pond, so I'm not sure exactly how I'm going to do that. That issue may not be that accurate. I want to have certain things that are accurate. We'll see, because it's easy to think of like, oh yeah, is this fresh water, is this salt water, But I really don't want that to be the focus, like a huge debate on that particular issue. Okay, but I mean, I don't know. It's unlikely that would be the debate, but we'll see. Okay, so this is the next point, and this is going to be a table. Okay. So we'll just we'll go another line down here. Now to get to table, what do? We go to insert and we go to table. We can just draw the table like this if we wanted, but really what you want to do, you can actually also you can see you can do various things here, but and I may try some of these things are quite new. So we want 3 columns, and we're going to go for 5 rows. Okay, and we just press OK, and there's our table. So let's begin. This is the live preview, by the way. This is something you can turn. I may also go into the options menu and have a little look around that as well. So we click those 3 cells. I wonder if that's actually displaying clearly enough. I may actually change the color of that. It depends how it looks in the video. You have to think of a lot of these things, but anyway. Okay, so we're then going to want to do some text stuff here. So what do I want to put here? Well, I want to make sure first of all that the font size is a little larger. So we're going to go Control Shift and greater than, right? And then we're going to do disturbances to pond, and then we're going to put the date. I'm just going to put today's date. It's just because it's a good excuse to show this. So insert, and we put insert date time, and there we go. We just put a little gap there. Okay, so we might want to just make this look a little bit better. So we're going to press Control E. We're going to center. We're going to do Control B to. Actually, I'm not going to do that. But Control B does bold. Control U is underline. Control I is italic. And we're going to do Control U here. Okay. And yeah, and then what we're also going to do is, you see, if we go to the yeah, if you right click, you can get the live bar and also put up the other bar. So what I want to do is go to the font color, and I like this particular color. Yeah, what you actually need to do, I believe, is if you can, is there a way to, yeah, you select the whole bar, right? Because if you select the whole bar, it should, that wasn't how it was happening before when I looked at it. Yeah, I'm just trying, let me see if I, it's not happening how I wanted actually. I think I need to do the paint bucket, don't I? Yeah, the paint bucket is the one I want. Yeah, so the fill color, yeah. What I want to do is actually just change the fill color, not the so if I do this one, let's have a look at this. There we go, that's perfect. So yeah, that's a much better way to do it. And it does actually change. That's funny, isn't it? Because the text actually changes. Yeah. The text changes to white. I was wondering why the text changes to white. But I guess if you change the fill color, it must automatically do that. Anyway, yeah. I didn't, funny enough, when I recorded it the previous times, I never even thought of that. And I've actually recorded this several times, and it's like each time I'm thinking of something else, so it's kind of interesting. But anyway, so we do Control B here, and we're going to put, we're in size 12, so that's good. And we just check, so this is size 14, and this is good. So we've got time of splashes, and we've got number of splashes. And try to do uniform sort of, and then the duration. Splashing activity. Okay, so then we're going to select these, and we're going to do a Control E on them. Okay, so that's good. So then it's just a case of putting in a few pieces of information. So if we want to move between cells, we just press Tab. And that will also hold true for if we want to go down a line as well. So I want to have a bit of a, yeah, I'll do it like that. I was thinking, do I want to leave a gap? But the answer is no. There we go. 48, 25 minutes. Next one, 3:30 a.m. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm chronicling the amount of splashing, because obviously, you know, a salmon will, you know, well, I don't know. I'm not sure this is entirely sort of accurate to real life, but anyway. So then what we want to do is, once we need to select the whole table. So the best way to do that is just click on this little square thing. Well, it's a cross really. So what do we want to do with that? Well, there's different ways. We could get the right-click context menu. Normally, you would probably do, if you do this, by the way, you can actually see stuff like as you do it. But I actually want to do a custom thing, which is going to be a box of 3 points, like that. So I think that looks quite nice. And there we go. So there's the infringements. We're still on size 12, so that's fine. And then we're going to go, as you can see, this level of splashing, and especially for this duration, is completely unacceptable. Yep, unacceptable. And I urge you to stop. Okay, and then just go down a bit here. We're going to put all this on one page, by the way. I wanted to. Okay, we've got yours sincerely, Jimmy Kipper. Okay, so that's good. So what's not good is that it's actually going to 2 pages. So there's several ways to get around this. So if we look, we can see we should have. I just want to check everything's on single line. Yeah, it's fine. Okay, first thing, F7. Okay, that's actually done it incorrectly. So that wasn't the best one. There we are. Okay, so you often in this situation want to look at what can we actually get rid of. One of the first things to get rid of is this line. Okay, and then it actually doesn't look good with that amount spacing. So if we get rid of these lines as well, and then we should be getting pretty close. So we're only about one line off here. Even at the bottom might be a fine. I think that looks not too bad. And just for maybe for uniformity, yeah, I think that doesn't look too well. I mean, if we've got the space, we could use the space, and we do. If we want to get rid here, we just click here. It can be difficult to get rid of the page here. One way to do it, which I'm not. Let me just get to the left aligned. I believe one way to do it is if you go to the top of the page. Oh, did I get it? There we go, I got it. Okay, yeah, I may speak about that at some point. But anyway, so if we look at the print now, we can see that's a pretty professional looking document. So until next time, thanks for watching.